I don't know if you just go over to your agenda and that will then go in the background.
Yeah, I just was trying to turn off the speaker because last time I just
Yeah,
don't know
sure.
whether I'm having a hard
Right.
time connecting. I've got like 3 tunnels in here. So I really can't tell whether I'm connected or not.
On mine, it says recording live on YouTube.
Does it? Okay. All right. Shoot. Okay. Nope. Every time I go to minimize that screen, it
What if instead of Xing or minimizing, you just go right over to the green one that starts with the titles and everything?
with the what? Sorry.
Beside the YouTube, there's the couple green tabs from our iCompass.
I don't see where you're talking. Oh, those ones?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so Bill will do a roll call.
Okay.
Okay, so would you like me to call all members first and then you can take over the meeting, okay?
Sure.
All right, so it's 1:01 and this is a roll call of members of council. Mayor Kane,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Gibb,
Present.
Councillor McCourt,
Present.
Councillor Lupshin,
Here.
and Councillor Williamson.
Here.
Okay, Mayor Kane, you can take the meeting.
Yeah. Thank you, Kate. So we'll call to the meeting to order at 1:02. Additions to the agenda, anyone?
No, not for me.
Hearing none, then I'll say there are no additions. Point 3, confirmation. Looking for a mover and a seconder that the agenda be confirmed as presented.
Larry will confirm.
Thank you.
Scott will second.
Thank you. All in favor? I guess we've got to go through the order. Scott?
Yay.
Yay. Pat?
Yay.
Mark?
Yay.
Larry?
Yay.
Bill is yay. Carried 5-0. I will ask if any declarations of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof. Give you a few seconds. And hearing none, so will be recorded. Items 5, 6, and 7 on our agenda. 5 is public question period. This item has been suspended for the term of the emergency declaration. Hopefully our ratepayers will understand. If they have any pressing issues, questions, they can email them to me and I'll do my best to find an answer for them. 6, our presentations, delegations are also canceled, and our public hearings and meetings as well. So we're going directly to planning, reports, and bylaws. 8.1. This is report PNG 2020-11. It's a severance agreement involving Eaglesons and Keptine. We need a mover and a seconder that would direct the mayor and clerk to sign the severance agreement and return to the applicant, Bryce and Susan Eagleson, for registration on title in fulfillment of a condition of consent B09/19.
It's Pat, I'll move.
Mark,
you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion from council? I'll call the vote then. Scott,
Yay.
Pat,
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
Larry,
Yay.
Bill, yay. Thank you. Motion is carried. 8.2, bylaw 2020-18. This is a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign and execute a severance agreement with Eagleson's Captain. That bylaw 2020-18 being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign and execute a severance agreement with the Eagleson Captain to fulfill a condition B09/19 be given first, second, third reading, and finally passed the 21st day of April 2020.
Scott will move.
Thank you.
Larry will second.
Give you a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote again. Scott,
Yay.
Pat,
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
Larry. You're muted, Larry.
Yay.
Thank you. And Bill's yay. That motion is carried. 8.3, report PNG 2020-12 rezoning expense agreement with Huizinga. So we're looking to direct the mayor and clerk to sign a rezoning expense agreement with Steve and Joanne Huizinga and return to the applicants for registration on title. Do we need a mover and a seconder for that? Kate?
Larry.
Kate,
Okay, thank you. Larry moved.
I'll
Yeah.
second Pat.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, please.
Yes.
Thank you. This is just an expense agreement authorizing me to continue on with processing the application. The expense agreement does not need to be registered against title.
Thank you. Does that in any way change our motion?
I will correct the motion on the minutes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Call the vote. Scott,
Yay.
Pat,
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
Larry,
Yay.
Bill is yay. That motion is also carried. 8.4, the bylaw 2020-19, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign and execute a rezoning expense agreement with Huizinga's. That bylaw 2020-19 being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign and execute a rezoning expense agreement with Steve and Joanne Huizinga, Part 12, Concession 2, 8829 Dale Road, to pursue a rezoning of a portion of the property be given first, second, third reading, and finally passed 21st day of April 2020. Mover and seconder, please.
I'll move,
Larry.
Mark.
I'll second. Larry.
Did you get that, Kate? It's Mark and Larry. Okay. I'll give you a couple seconds for discussion. Anyone? Hearing none, I'll call the vote again. Scott,
Yay.
Pat,
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
Larry,
Yay.
yay. Bill is also yay. That motion is also carried. Item 9.1, adoption of the previous council minutes and committee of the whole meetings. So we have minutes of the regular council meeting, February 18th, 2020. We have minutes of the special council meeting number 1, held April 9th, 2020. And we have minutes of special council meeting number 2, held April 9th, 2020. Could we have one motion then to
I'll move
recognize?
that both those be approved. Pat?
Thank you. Second,
Scott will second.
thank you. Any discussion on any of those 3 meetings? Give you a second or two. Hearing none again, I'll call the vote. Scott,
Yay.
Pat,
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
Larry,
Yay.
and Bill is yay. Also carried. Business arising from the minutes? Hearing none. Committee reports, there are none. Brings us to item 12, excuse me, Public Works and Infrastructure.
Excuse me, Sandra
Yes.
speaking. Is there anything else I need to partake in? Otherwise, I will sign off the meeting and get back to work.
I'll refer to Kate.
You may exit the meeting, Sandra.
Thank you very much. Good day, everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Sandra.
Thanks.
Sandra.
Thanks, Sandra.
Well, again, item 12, Public Works and Infrastructure, excuse me, item 12.1 is report PWI 2020-01, read the parking on Carlton Boulevard. And we look for mover and seconder. The council receives the report PWI 2020-01, and 2, the council approves the following amendment to bylaw 2017-13, Schedule C, no parking at any time restrictions. Add Carlton Boulevard, east side from County Road 45 to 50 meters north of County Road 45, and add Carlton Boulevard, west side from County Road 45 to 75 meters north of County Road 45, between houses number 7 and number 9, Carlton Boulevard. And 3, further, that the clerk be directed to bring forward the amending bylaw.
I'll move, Mark.
Thank you.
I'll
Larry, I'll
second.
second.
Did you get somebody, Kate, for a second? We got
Larry?
there. Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Again, I'll call the vote. Scott,
Yay.
thank you. Pat,
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
Larry,
Yay.
Bill is yay. That motion is also carried. Item 12.2, re the tender of snowplow. It is recommended that the Council of the Township of Hamilton enact as follows. The council authorized the mayor and treasurer to award the purchase of a new 2020 diesel powered tandem truck, complete with tilt forward plow harness, 2-way plow, wing, and all season dump body / spreader as specified in tender number PW 2020-02, a value of $305,218 plus HST to Winslow Girolami Motors Limited. Mover and seconder, please, to get this on the floor.
I'll move. Pat?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll second, Mark.
Thank you. So I will open for discussion.
It's Larry here. In all good conscience, I can't approve this purchase at this time due to the situation with the COVID-19 and the unknown factor of what's going to happen in the future with the taxes and income to the township. I know it's a difficult situation, but I just can't in good conscience approve this.
Any further discussion?
Scott here. Although I'll shorten my normal conversation on this type of topic, but I just feel as though we can't do that at this time. I would like to see this decision deferred until we have a better handle on our impact of COVID-19. I don't want to lose this motion in respect to having it canceled, but I certainly would support a deferral.
Any other members of council like to weigh in on this?
I have a question, I think, more than anything else. I'm with the other gentleman about the timing really makes me nervous, but I'm wondering if Lucas has anything specific to say on the subject.
You there, Lucas?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I don't really have much to add. Obviously, the information has been presented into the report. Due to the situation we currently are in, this dump truck or snowplow would not be delivered until January 2021. Just because of the manufacturing of the truck, it all has been the assembly lines have been shut down for, I'm not sure exact timing, but there has been a delay just in the manufacturing of this vehicle. So we can put it on hold. However, the tender prices are only valid for 90 days from the date of when the tender was closed. I didn't have the exact date, but it did close on February 20th. So if we do some math, it would probably be valid till about May 20th. So if we don't make a decision today, and it is kind of just on hold or paused, after that specific date of May 20th, we would have to re-tender it. And I'm not sure what cost would come in at values with the US market and any steel tariffs. And obviously, you know, the dollar currently, the Canadian dollar is decreasing in value every day. So that's all I have for now.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a follow-up? Mr. Mayor, may I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pat.
Lucas, what kind of position would we be in if we did not order it today to have it for the winter, like for winter 21? Is it going to be put us in danger in any way, I guess is the question, as a safety issue?
This truck was brought up to be replaced in our capital forecast because of the age and longevity and some metal fatigue. With the delay, we could see some costs associated to maintenance of this vehicle. There might be some items for hydraulics for the tilt body of this specific snowplow. And if we delay or postpone, obviously we would have to have this vehicle all winter season of this year. And because it takes about 10 to 12 months to build, we could see this vehicle being in our service or in fleet for maybe even 2 winters, depending on how far we delay this process.
So we'd be looking at decreased maintenance costs or increased maintenance costs.
Increased maintenance costs. Obviously, we don't use this truck much in the summer because of the single axle and payload capacities. But once winter time comes, we do use this. It has its own dedicated route, and this vehicle is out there in any winter storm or every winter storm.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment here, Bill?
Go ahead.
It's Larry. You know, I clearly understand the situation in the long term, but we don't know when this COVID-19 emergency situation is going to end. We really don't know what the impact is going to be for the future. I mean, we could defer it, fine, until May to find out where we sit from a financial point of view. But we've also got to, consider the fact that a lot of people in this township aren't going to be working after the fact. There may be some companies that aren't operating after the fact. So, considering purchasing or going through with the purchase in May, I don't think this is going to work myself. But that's my 2 cents of it.
Bill, Scott here, I'd like to buy in.
Go ahead, Scott.
When I'm thinking of deferral, I'm thinking of deferral certainly into May, June, July, whatever is needed to get a full understanding or the best understanding we have of the impact of this pandemic on our ratepayers. I just feel as though we can't make the decision at this point in time. I understand from Lucas that there's also another truck in reserve, and I'll have Lucas confirm that, but I understand from previous conversations with Lucas, there is a truck in reserve that we wouldn't be down and out even if this particular single axle failed. So I think we can defer it, but it would be beyond May would be my first thought.
I can jump in and confirm. It's Lucas here, manager of Public Works. I can confirm that, yes, we do have a spare truck. That goes back to Deputy Mayor's comments regarding if the truck did break down, we do have a spare. However, that spare is also old and we don't really know how much. We do have a spare. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Mark, I haven't heard from you. Do you have anything to put in?
I've been trying to give this some thought because I mean, I also have the same concerns that a lot of that's already been mentioned. I mean, this COVID-19 is a scary thing, but it's also very scary that if we don't keep up with our truck line and so forth, that I'm not so sure things are going to get better in a hurry. I mean, this COVID-19 thing's probably going to continue on into the summer months, which I think we all realize, and how much it impacts people within the municipality, that's a tough one. But if we don't buy this truck, or at least put this order in, I mean, we're looking at a year wait, well, at least 6-7 months now. If we don't order it today, I mean, that's 7 months that, you know, we're not going to get. And then you might be looking at another season, and at that time, you still got to buy a truck. So, I mean, did it really help? I'm not convinced. I'm not really convinced that that's going to help the bottom line. I think if we're going to look at anything when it comes to this COVID-19 thing, I think we're going to have to look seriously at operating, and perhaps some of our other works within the road department, such as some of the roads that are forecasted to be done this year. Maybe not the pavement tender, but perhaps the other tenders that we do with the county and so forth, because those ones probably are not going to get done and are probably easier to defer than this truck. So at this point, as much as I hate to spend 300,000 with a lot of uncertainty, I still kind of support it at this point, just based on those facts that one, we're going to need a truck, and two, there's maybe other ways we can save money for the ratepayers for this year. And that's simply the other roads works that, as I say, we're more than likely not going to get done this year because of the way things are.
Okay, thanks, Mark. The information, Lucas.
May I speak?
Go ahead.
Nishrit? Through you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I just want to let you know the funding for this particular truck is actually coming from our reserve, not our tax rate. And if we, as Lucas mentioned, that we are going to get delivery of this truck in 2021, so there will not be any cash flow impact if council approve this in 2020. And if we do not buy this truck, maintenance expense will increase for 2020 and 2021, which will impact the tax rate payers. That's it.
Thank you. The information from Lucas to me seems quite pertinent is the cost of this truck is going to increase beyond a question. The Canadian dollar's dropped below 70 cents now. I really like we have the option to at least defer it for a month so that we might get more information with regards to, you know, how we are going to be affected. Not to put the pressure on our senior staff members, but at some point, we're going to have to take a stab at just how far is our income going to drop in this year. And I believe that looking at these things in isolation is very difficult. I think we need at some point to open up our entire budget so we can look at the big picture. We're going to require a special meeting of council, I believe, so that we can, gather information, particularly from Nuzzard. Don't put pressure on you, Nuzzard, but to try to give us some sort of a future outlook on our finances. We can then prioritize our budget and make our cuts from the bottom up, the things that we need the least. And in that way, hopefully then we can make wiser decisions. I don't know how we can tackle each one of these items one at a time. I just don't know how we prioritize them in doing that. But the way I feel anyway right now is if we could at least defer this for the month, give us at least 30 days to do some more research, get our heads around the picture, consider a special meeting of council, considering looking at the budget in its entirety. And that's just the way where I think we should be going. So I'll throw that out there for any other comment.
I just have one, it's Larry, I have one final comment. I think it's important that we show by example. Our residents are feeling a loss with their salaries, their incomes. And if we start spending money like this, it's going to backlash on us. And I'm just saying that. So I know, I agree if by deferring, fine, but we've got to show by example. They're feeling the pain. And I think we've got to look at how we spend the money this year in total, even though it's coming out of reserves.
Mr. Merritt? Sorry, Larry, I thought you were done.
No, that's fine. Thanks, Pat.
I actually really like the idea of a special council meeting. My concern with the truck, like I said, I understand, as the previous gentleman were saying, about we don't know where we're going to end up with COVID-19, but the financial impacts, even of the dollar, will have a huge impact on our big picture. I'm also concerned because taking money out of the reserve, if everything that we had originally planned for the reserve, we paid out of the reserve, is taken out, and we can't put money back in, then we're going to be in a different kind of a jam. So I like the idea of a special meeting with a little bit more oversight of where things could lead if we just went on with our original costs. Because like Mark, I was struggling originally with which way to go with this. And that's the ultimate one for me, is taking it out of the reserves only works if we haven't completely depleted our reserves. I'm done.
Bill, I'd like to buy in on the reserve comments.
Go ahead.
Keep in mind that we are taking money, or at least in the current budget approval process, we are taking money from the tax bill to build those reserves. If we don't deplete the reserves, or we don't reduce the reserves, then maybe we won't have to take quite so much from the general tax bill to put back in. I think I would like to move forward and make a motion of deferral, which I believe can be legally done with the previous motion still on the floor. Or Bill, would you like to have a vote on that motion and then move forward on another?
Again, I will defer to Kate for legalities here, please.
Okay, so it is a recommendation on the agenda, and you've moved and seconded the recommendation to get the discussion going. You can call for a vote on it, and then we may have to bring forward the second motion.
Yeah, that's what I believe too.
Unless your mover and your seconder would agree to a friendly an amendment to change it to a deferral.
I agree.
I would do that as long as our deferral is before we have to when May 20th. So we have to have a meeting between now and May 20th to decide this. So
It's Lucas here. I just pulled up the tender. It closed on February 20th. Right in the tender, it did say bids shall remain open to acceptance and shall be irrevocable for a period of 90 days after the bid has closed. And if you do some February 20th plus 90 days makes it to be May 20th. So yeah, I guess to hold that dollar figure, that amount we would have to have our order in by May 20th. So council meeting obviously before then.
Just a quick question, if I could, Lucas. You said that would be 90 days, but February is a shorter month. Does that affect that?
I don't know. I just went on actual Google and typed in February 20th plus 90 days, and that's what it gave me.
You might be all right, because there's a month in there with 31, so
Yeah, I don't know. I don't, Google's mostly correct.
I just did a quick calculation as well through the mayor. Quick calculation as well, and it's full 7 weeks plus 6 days, which is 90, and that takes us to the 20th. But we'll confirm that so we don't lose that timing of 90 days. I think that's the critical one, as far as it is a good price given what's happened to the dollar in the meantime, and that would certainly mean an implication on us if we were not to proceed.
I also did a count, and it does take it to May 20th.
Right. So the mover and seconder have agreed then to alter the motion to make it a deferral.
And
They
is
both
that,
agreed. So could we
is that-
take a vote?
Mayor Kane, is that would be they agree to a deferral subject to calling a special meeting of council before May 20th
Yes.
for further discussion?
Yes. Scott, is your hand up? No, okay, sorry. So any further discussion then? So to clarify, the motion is now that we will defer this item to a future special meeting of council to be held prior to the deadline date of May 20th. Any questions? I'll call the vote. Scott,
Yay.
Pat,
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
Larry,
Yay.
and yay for Bill. So that motion is carried, then we do have a deferral. We're at item 12.3, report PWI 2020-03, read the tender for Lakeshore Drive in Harlan. It is recommended that the council of the township of Hamlin acts as follows. 1, authorize the mayor and treasurer to award the tender PW 2020-01 for the reconstruction of Lakeshore Drive, the value of $753,344.35 plus HST to DeKaiser Excavating Limited. Further, to retain Jewel Engineering for contract administration and quality control at a value of $40,000 plus HST. And 3, further, that the mayor and treasurer be authorized to undertake all things necessary to execute the contract for the work. Do you have someone who's willing to make that motion or any motion with regard to this?
It's Larry. I'd like
Yes.
to make a motion to defer this at the same, with regards to what we just spoke about regarding the truck, and defer that to a later date.
Was
I'll
that later?
second. I will second that, but I'm wondering again if it's got a time limit on, like the tender did, the truck tender.
So Lucas Kelly here. We do have the same condition. I think that one closed a few days later than the tandem axle snowplow. That pricing is valid for 90 days as well. So we'd be looking at a week later than the snowplow for pricing to be valid till.
Thank you, Lucas.
Bill, I have a question for Lucas.
Go ahead.
Lucas, would there be any opportunity for you as staff to contact these companies and see if there was an opportunity under the circumstances of a further extension on those closing dates?
Yes, I can do that. I know I've been going back and forth with DeKaiser and even the other one regarding original award date. I can ask them to extend the dates. I'm not sure Obviously, in the tender document, in the contract, it does specify 90 days. If they're willing to grant an extension, then that would be okay, because once it goes to council, we can just reference the dollar amount. However, they may say no, and then after the 90 days, we would then have to, as per our procurement policy, we would have to reissue this tender.
Thank you, Lucas.
Any further discussion from members of council? Could I just clarify that this motion then also includes the date that this will be brought forward at the next proposed special meeting of council prior to May 20th, even though there may be an extension? But it's going
Yes.
to be brought forward. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Larry. Seconder, is that all right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, I had several things written down about this particular issue, but if we're going to defer it, I'm going to just hold those in the interest of time. I think probably we are making the best decision to give ourselves a little bit of breathing space. So I'm going to call the motion again then. This is anyone need the motion read again, or we're all clear on it?
I'm okay.
Okay, then I'm hearing nothing. Then I'm going to go forward with the call for the vote again. Scott,
Yay.
Pat,
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
Larry,
Yay.
and Bill votes yay as well. Motion is carried for deferral. Item 12.4, report WO 2020-02. This is really the 2019 annual summary reports, our drinking water systems. It is recommended the council to the township of Hamilton acts as follows. 1, acknowledge receipt of the Camborne and Creighton Heights annual summary report for the operating period of January 1st, 2019 to December 31st, 2019. And 2, acknowledge receipt of Hamilton Township Distribution System annual summary reports for the operating period of January 1st, 2019 to December 31st, 2019, prepared by Lakefront Utilities as the operating authority of that system.
Move
please.
so we, I
Thank you.
move so we've gotten acknowledged receipt.
Thank you. Seconder.
Larry?
Thank you. Open the floor for any discussion.
We have to have a recorded vote anyway,
Yes.
Bill, so I guess we'll just go through.
I do have a question before we do the vote.
Yes.
I think I saw that Scott was there under the Creighton Heights water. I was just trying to pull it up. I'm having trouble with my phone. Scott, under the treated water, there was a sentence right towards the end of that section. That's, I think if I understood it correctly, and I'm just looking for clarification, that we have abundant water there, but we don't have the infrastructure to look at extending it at any point. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, Mayor Kane and members of council, I can speak to that. I believe you're talking about the sentence that where we're required in the reports to sort of make an assessment of the actual water that we processed compared to what we're approved to process by the ministry. And so although the numbers would seem to suggest that with the percentages there that we're well under our capacity, we know that our processing limitations at that facility at the Creighton Heights water plant are fairly restrictive. So even though our license and permit from the ministry dictate that we can process, X amount of water, we have processing pitfalls there that we're not able to do that. So I just wanted to give a little bit of clarification to the numbers there to make a bit of a clearer picture of where we're at Creighton Heights, which is essentially right up against the ceiling. We're sort of just meeting the demand of the community at our peak season, which is summer, and thus there really would be not any room for further development in the current state of the processing capability of that facility.
Thanks, Scott.
Of course,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Are you good, Pat? Any more questions?
I have one, Bill. Scott here. Scott, we have numerous vacant lots that are scheduled to be tied into municipal water. Do we have enough to feed those?
We had a study completed by our municipal water engineer back in 2017 to suggest that we currently have enough to support about 18 additional residential units. I'm in the process right now of clarifying that study to ensure that that study took into consideration both vacant lots that we had, as well as lots that are currently serviced by a private well on that lot, but has a water main frontage. So the option would be there to hook to the water main should they choose to or have difficulty with their wells. I can confirm that it absolutely does include provisions for the entire build out of the Deerfield subdivision by Stallwood Homes. I can confirm that that was calculated as part of that study. But as I say, I'm just awaiting confirmation for that exact question. What sort of scope did they include, or even was there any looking at potential severances of larger lots in that community? If we get a severance for a larger lot or something, was that taken into consideration or not? So I should have the scope of that study that was done for further clarification. I would think by next council meeting, if there's some follow-up that you would require.
Thank you.
Sure.
If there's no more questions, then Kate, you're going to go through the recorded vote for us, please? Do you have a sheet there, or do I have to have it here?
Bill, you can call that.
Okay. So just for council's sake, then this is a vote that is recorded for water. Scott,
Yay.
Pat,
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
Larry,
Yay.
Bill, yay. Carried 5-0. Section 13 on our agenda is recreation facilities, no report. 14, corporate services. Report CD 2020-05, rebill 68, integrity commissioner and required policies. It's recommended the council of the township of Hamilton and acts as follows. 1, that report CD 2020-05 regarding policy document for council and local boards be received, and further, the council approves the policy documents for code of conduct for members of council and local boards, complaint protocols, informal and formal, with code of conduct complaint form number 1, and municipal conflict of interest act complaint form number 2, and council and staff relations attached to report CD 2020-05. And 2, that a member may accept a gift or benefit not having a value greater than $350 as per section 7.2 subsection G. And 3, that any current documents in the township policy manual be replaced accordingly. Mover and second.
Larry, motion that.
I'll second.
Thank you. Open for discussion.
I have
I have
several
a question,
questions.
Bill.
I'm going to start with Pat, please.
Okay, my first question is the section about the gifts and benefits. I'm just wondering how that's changed from whatever it was previously. Is that more money, less money?
More.
Do we know why it increased? Like, was that suggested by the integrity or the
Yeah,
integrity commissioner?
I don't believe it came from us.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I was surprised it was that high.
I don't
Wanna
think
weigh
there's
in?
a
Also,
reason
it's a
for it.
reason for it.
Weigh in, Kate.
If I may speak, so because, we're changing integrity commissioners and policies and everything else, I went out to the, to other municipalities that had also contracted service with the same integrity commissioner, as well as some other member municipalities. And it seemed that 350 was a common value they were putting into their documents. So trying to keep that commonality amongst municipalities. So that's why I suggesting the $350. It's up to
I-
council.
Okay, I don't know how other feel. That just sounds high in my head.
So what was it before? Sorry, this Larry? If I might ask a question?
I think it was $100, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me at this moment.
Mark, do you remember?
Sorry, I mean, there's so few people that give us money or give us any
Exactly.
kind of benefit that
agree.
I really don't know the answer to that.
It's Larry here. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Why don't we keep it at the original price? I think $300, $350 is going to look a little excessive,
You want
as
to
Pat said.
lower it to 100?
100, yeah, lower it to 100.
That
It's
would
the
make me happy.
optics.
Are we still going to talk about the whole thing? Should I go on with my other questions, or do you want to decide on that first?
Let's deal with this number first, and then we'll move on, okay? Anybody else want to weigh in on the 350 versus what it used to be?
I will, Bill. Scott here. That was when Pat brought this up, it was the exact point that I was going to bring up. I don't like the 350 at all. Matter of fact, I'm not even 100% sure I like the $100. But if that's what it was before, then I'd be willing to go to that dollar value.
Can I just say one thing? The only time that I know of that we would actually get any kind of money from a ratepayer or anyone would be if we were at a conference and somebody was to buy us a meal. So
Right.
that's about the only time that I could think of. I mean, I can't think of any other time, but so I'd be happy to put a motion up for. I'll throw $100 in if you want to change that to $100 and be done with it.
I like Mark, I was trying to think of reasons, and I thought of a meal, or if somebody wanted you to attend something and they wanted to give you a ticket, that, you know, that was the only things where my brain went, okay, fine, maybe if it's a dinner and they're trying to get somebody, you know, like a good turnout, but something like that. I think $100 is a good maximum.
Just to weigh in on Kate's side, I think, you know, we do have to be a little bit careful because I think, for example, the Downtown Business, Corey Business Association, they
Jeez.
donated tickets to us, 2 tickets at $90 a piece. So there's $180 that, you know, would have been accepted by a member of council to attend that dinner and represent us there. I don't know if we want to make this an artificially low number that creates a problem for us. I know what you were saying, that we don't want people to assume that we're willing to accept, you know, lavish gifts, but I don't know if we want to be so low that we put ourselves in an awkward position. Kate?
So I've got a hold of the current code of conduct, and it reads, members of council will only accept gifts, hospitality, or entertainment of a nominal value that could not be reasonably construed as being given in anticipation or recognition of special consideration by the township.
Okay, so there's no actual dollar figure there.
There's no actual dollar figure, it's just of a nominal value.
I'm concerned that $100 might be too small. We trap ourselves. Somebody might inadvertently, you know, like I said, the two $90 tickets, suddenly there's somebody who's accepted $180 and we put a $100 limit on it, and we've created an issue where one really shouldn't exist.
Am I right in thinking that the reason we're putting a dollar value on was at the recommendation of the Integrity Commissioner?
The document from the Integrity Commissioner did not have a value in it. He left that blank because that's up to each individual municipality.
I don't think I worded my question well, Kate. He was looking at, he left it blank, but he's looking for a number to be put in that blank. We can't just say nominal.
I think that nominal can be interpreted and construed many different ways. So I feel that he would rather see that council was putting a figure down there and then that is clear. It's clear to the public, it's clear to council.
Would anybody be willing to move that number to 200?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. I'm okay with 200.
So,
So-
Mayor Kane, that was moved by Councillor Williamson and seconded by Councillor McCourt.
No, it's moved by either me or Pat. Yeah,
No,
The
I
original.
have
the
Councillor
original. Oh, I'm
Williams.
sorry.
So I think they're looking, Larry, for you to, whether you're interested in amending the motion to 200.
Yes. This is Larry. Yes.
I'm comfortable with that amendment as well.
One last time for further discussion. I think we've hit the right number. Oh, okay. This motion's been made, I believe, to pass the entire issues, has it not, Kate? So we can continue on and then we change that number to 200 and then we will vote on the overall motion at the end, or do we need to have a little caveat in here on this one?
Okay, so the motion, the recommendation was the whole document, the code of conduct, and the other supporting documents. So that was made by Councillor Williamson, seconded by Councillor McCourt. We've changed through discussion the value to $200.
Right. But we can continue on with discussion and pass the entire issue. That's what I'm saying. We don't have to vote on that one small issue.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, thank you. Any other further discussion then on this? There's 3 points.
Yeah, I have a couple more if I may. I'm not sure who
Yes,
this is at.
And I have Scott in line as well, I believe.
Okay, so my first one, I was just trying to find it. It's in section of the very first section, 1.3, where it says that the members of local boards, that it applies to them, but it's recognized that they're not actually part of council. Does that mean that that they are in principle supposed to uphold it? There is no actual anything that happens, or are we saying like we would, if they were to break the code of conduct, we would be taking them off the board?
That's an option.
That is an option that's out there.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure that we had something for that. Okay, my next one was on page 4 or 5. Page 5, it's number 4I. And my question is 4I, and then the one for the staff members, 5.4. 5.4 talks about a member will not make disparage, publicly criticize staff. Is the one for I for council supposed to be the equivalent of that they won't make publicly just criticize council? I like the wording in 5.4, and I'm wondering if that's what 4.I is supposed to say.
Through you, Mayor Kane, 4.I refers to member of council. And then section 5 refers to member of council to staff.
Right, so what I'm asking is, council to staff says do not publicly criticize. I would like that as a point of conduct, publicly criticizing. That doesn't mean disagreeing, but like being disparagingly criticizing shouldn't be publicly happening either. Does I cover that, or is it not important? To me, there's a big difference between criticizing and disagreeing.
When you look at 5.4, that is referring when you read the second sentence, then if a member of council has an issue with staff, that's referred to the CAO because staff are responsible to the CAO.
So my question, like I said, I like 5.4. I'm not trying to get anything changed with that. I want to be sure that under the council section, that Bill has the ability to censure if somebody were to say, Scott, I'm going to pick on you. That, Scott is, crazy, has no idea what he's talking about. He is just making uninformed decisions. That to me is a criticism that's beyond I disagree. It can be, if I start calling him an idiot or something like that, it's disparaging, but I want to make sure that Bill has the ability to truly stop it.
I would whether I had it or not.
It'd be nice if you had it officially.
So,
You're speaking of Scott Noble, right?
I think that falls as staff, Scott. You're the Scott I refer to, but I was just picking on you because yours was the face I saw.
Member McCourt, do you have recommended or suggested wording you would like?
Similar to the one in 5.4, like the first sentence of 5.4. A member shall not publicly criticize another council member, and then go and then even like just add to in a disparaging by making disparaging comments. Like you could be added to the beginning of I just like the publicly criticize part.
Okay, so we can add the first sentence of 5.1 to
I.
to 4.I.
Yep.
That would make me happy. I don't know how others feel.
Are the members of council all right with that change?
Yeah, fine.
I'm fine.
I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Yep, okay.
Okay, and I do have one last one, if I may, Mr. Mayor.
Go right ahead.
It is 5.2. The one about township staff. No, sorry, it's 5.4, but from a different perspective. If council feels that the CAO is being criticized, insulted, etc., publicly, should that not add that it's appropriate to take it to the mayor in that case? Like a complaint about how the CAO is being treated can't be taken to the CAO. So I'm suggesting that addition. I don't even know the exact wording, but just include that option.
Through the mayor.
Yes,
Could add, not that I'm looking for the wording specifically, but thank you for raising that, Mayor, Member McCourt. 5.4 could be added at the very end to add to the staff members appropriate superior, or in the case of the CAO, to the mayor.
That would cover my concern. Thank you. That's all I've got, Bill.
thank you. Did you get that wording, Kate?
Not quite, but I'll discuss that
With our,
with Arthur. I didn't get all the wording there, except the addition of in 5.4 at the last sentence, to the staff members appropriate superior. Would that, did you say inclusive of the CAO or to the CAO?
Comma, and in the case of the CAO, to the mayor.
Okay,
thanks, Arthur. So Pat's done. Scott, did you still have something?
I did, Bill, and forgive me if it's in the document, but I certainly don't have it in my head. It goes back to that dollar value. Is there any type of reporting mechanism that we need or do have on that for individual council members?
I'm unaware. That's a very good question, though. If we do receive something, how do we acknowledge that? Or do we have to, do we have to acknowledge it?
what I have in my head right now is that the document is silent on that.
You shouldn't have to, I wouldn't think you would have to document anything unless you were over the $350 for, you'd have to go to, or over the $200 that we're going to change it to. So I just can't see why you would have to do that. There's no reason to document it. I mean, a free meal is a free meal. I mean, you're not going to go and say, I got a $10 meal or a $20 meal.
Gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
You're dating yourself there, Mr. Mayor.
So if we do receive the gift over the $200 limit, what do we do then? We simply return it, refuse to accept it? What's the?
I would think we don't accept it. If it's going to be more than $250 or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think we should be accepting gifts myself, but I know it's not easy sometimes.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I think the point that Bill made about even like the Business Achievement Awards, that is one where it is reasonable for them to offer us the ticket because we've done the service.
Yes.
Like because it's offered to usually to the person who's done the judging.
Yes.
So I think there are times I think like they're very, very rare. And I think that if we have it at $200, things are pretty obvious whether or not they have that kind of value. So I think we would know pretty quickly no, there's no way we should be accepting this.
Go ahead, Kate.
Just to the beginning of 7.2, for greater clarity, despite 7.1, a member is entitled to accept any compensation, remuneration, or benefits authorized by law, but shall not accept any gift or benefit other than in the following circumstances. So that says shall not. The circumstances allows you to accept a gift not having a value greater than the $200. So it's very clear.
Thank you. All right, so was that your last question, Scott?
It was, Bill, but I will provide a comment. I personally agree with Larry that we shouldn't be receiving anything. And that can be on our own individual basis to suit our own personal beliefs.
Right.
Above, by that I mean above and beyond the document of what's stated there.
Right. I agree. Any other further discussion from members of council? So we have a mover and a seconder then to accept the report with the noted changes. There's no further discussion then. Call the vote. Scott?
Yay.
Pat?
Yeah, I couldn't make my mic work.
Mark?
Yay.
Did I hear a yay?
Yep. Yay.
Thank you, Mark. Larry?
Yay.
And the mayor votes yay. That's also carried. 14.2, report C 2020-07. Amendments to fees and charges bylaw. Fire and administration. It is recommended that the Council of the Township of Hamilton enact as follows. 1, that report CD 2020-07 regarding the fees and charges bylaw be received. And 2, the council approve amendments to bylaw 2015-17 as amended for fire, Schedule D, to replace set values with MTO rates, and administration, Schedule B, to replace closed session with integrity. We have a mover and a seconder to get this on the floor, please.
Larry, I'll move it.
Thank you.
I'll second it, Mark.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Scott?
Yay.
Pat?
Yay.
Mark?
Yay.
Larry?
Yay.
Bill, yay. Motion is carried. Emergency services, no report. Item 16 is communications and announcements. That's the Minister Steve Clark letter dated April 16th, 2020. I hope we've all had a chance to take a look at that and read it. I've asked it be on the agenda just for discussion. Not sure how we lead off. Do you want to lead this, Arthur?
Thank you, Mayor Kane. We just wanted to flag this as we've been trying to keep council up to date. There have been a series of announcements from the province, everything from financial support being provided, studies or initiatives that are being undertaken. This most recent memo, which was received April 16th, highlighted that they were providing municipalities the tools to have additional flexibility to deploy certain staff where they are needed the most at this critical time. They were, again, making the provisions available to be more flexible in our labor status. And the requirement, however, is that if we were choosing to go ahead with this authority, we would have to make a declaration under Section 4 of the EMPPA concurrent with this order. In other words, we can't exercise that authority, should we choose to as the township, unless we pass that emergency order. To date, we've not declared an emergency here. We've relied upon the declaration of the emergency by the province across Ontario to continue to have our staff monitor and act in a heightened state and sort of adjusted state. But we did want to flag to you that's additional provision. And again, the requirements that if you want to proceed, we would have to make that declaration.
Thank you, Arthur. So I guess the reason that I just wanted council input from this. To this point, we have not felt a need to declare an emergency, and I don't personally, at this point, see a need to declare an emergency, but I did want council to have a chance to weigh in on it. I don't know that we have any staff issues that we need to, take over, but it is nice to know that that situation is there if we do run into labor relations issues with maybe unionized workers. But I just open it up to any other members of council. Are we happy enough the way things are going now? I know some of the other municipalities in Northumberland County have declared an emergency. I just wanted you to have a chance to have input, that's all. So I'll open it up. Scott?
Maybe.
Oh. I'm sorry, I'll just go through. No one's speaking. So Scott, anything from you?
I was just wondering what would be the harm or the disadvantage if we did go ahead and declare?
Any input, Arthur?
So there is no direct negative harm, and as such, to use your words, Mayor, Deputy Mayor Jib. And the fact is, if we were to go ahead, we could have the mayor and the emergency control committee make that recommendation. The mayor could sign off on that on behalf and then advise council subsequently. So there is a mechanism where we could proceed with it. We did not envision a need to have the emergency declaration because it's not tied specifically to grants in our municipality. In other words, there was no sort of financial penalty for not doing this, which is why we didn't, although some municipalities saw a link or feel there was a link and they wanted to make sure that they had passed it. So we didn't foresee a problem or an issue. We have a mechanism where we can declare on behalf of the municipality. The mayor would do that with the emergency control group and then advise council. But this is a bit of a heads up to say, now that the province has made this change, if we wanted to go ahead, we do need to put that in place. So we want to make sure council and then of course the public would be watching this is aware that that is a tool that's available to us. And I think it's particularly relevant as a tool in larger municipalities that have a larger workforce that they need to have more sort of flexibility as such. In our case, we've been working with council, staff across the organization to deliver on the needs in our community.
Thanks, Arthur. Anything further, Scott?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. Pat, anything from you?
A couple of things. First, Scott answered my first question which was or Scott asked my first one about whether there was like a real need to do this now. And I was happy to hear that there wasn't, but there was a mechanism in place if we needed it. I strongly against doing it until we have to do it, because one of social service background coming through, I think, one of the things that people are really struggling with right now is the anxiety level. And I think once you put that emergency order in place, our staff are going to be a little bit more nervous about this mean my job's in jeopardy, that my income's in jeopardy. And I don't think we need the extra anxiety if we don't need to put it in place.
Good point. Anything from Mark?
I'm kind of mute on this one, Bill. I don't really see a reason to declare either at this point. I mean, I don't think it's going to help our situation. And if things change, I mean, you have the ability to do that. So at this point, I think we just leave it alone and let you decide it.
Yep. Larry? You're on mute, Larry.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I agree with the others that we'll stay the course and not go to the emergency preparedness.
Okay, I just wanted to, make sure you guys had some input on this. If it does come about, you'll know that there was obviously a reason. It's not something I'm going to do. One of the things we are looking at, keeping a really close eye on, is if there is any possibility that there would be some financial gain from doing this, then that's what we're keeping our eyes on. There, you mentioned earlier that, that this could get much worse before it gets better. Both the federal and provincial governments they've been passing out money in huge swaths. So, we just want to make sure that if we do get into some infrastructure problems, let's say, or some really low taxation rates are coming in, that we're there, to get the same sort of support that our municipalities have been getting. But to this point, we haven't seen that. So that's the only reason I could see us calling that emergency. So for right now, then I'm happy that staff agrees that we don't need to go forward with that. Thank you very much. Anything else from anybody before we move on? Okay, thanks everyone. 17, we're into bylaws. 17.1.
Bill, I think you have to
Yes.
go back to 16 and receive it for information.
Do we have a motion at all for that? Pat, did we have a motion already? No, okay, so we do need thanks, Mark. We do need a motion then to receive for information, 16.1, the Steve Clark letter of April 16, 2020.
I'll move that, Scott.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll second it, Mark.
Thank you. Call the vote, Scott.
Yay.
Pat?
The dogs and I vote yay.
Yes, okay. Mark?
Yay.
Larry?
Yay.
Bill is yay. Good catch, Mark. 17.1, bylaw 2020-04, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2020-03, which is our interim tax bylaw, to waive penalty and interest for April and May. So we'll be looking for someone to move and second that bylaw 2020-24, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2020-03, a bylaw to provide for an interim tax levy, to provide for the payment of taxes, and to provide for penalty and interest on tax arrears, to provide financial relief to penalty and interest on tax arrears for April and May 2020, be given first, second, and third reading, and finally passed this 21st day of April on 2020.
Scott will move.
Larry will second.
Thank you. Discussion?
I do have one, Bill.
Yes, Mark?
So after May, if we're still in a situation where we're in quarantined, do we hold another session after that and move this forward?
I'm sure we can revisit it.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, in my opinion, anyway.
Thank you.
If there's no other further discussion, then I'll call the vote on this particular motion. Scott?
Yay.
Thank you. Pat?
Yay.
Mark?
Yay.
Larry?
Yay.
Bill, yay. That motion is carried. 17.2, we're looking for someone to move and second that bylaw 2020-25, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2015-17, the fees and charges bylaw, in particular Schedule B and Schedule D, be given a first, second, and third reading and finally passed this 21st day of April 2020.
I'll move that, Bill.
I'll second, Pat.
Thank you. Open for discussion. Hearing none, I'll call the vote. Scott,
Yay.
Pat,
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
Larry,
Yay.
Bill, yay. That motion is carried. 17.3, we'll be looking for someone to move and second again, please, that bylaw 2020-26, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2017-13, the parking bylaw, in particular Schedule C, be given first, second, and third reading and finally passed this 21st day of April 2020.
We'll so move.
Larry,
I'll
I'll second. Okay, it's good.
Thank you. Open it for discussion. Hearing none, I'll call the vote. Scott,
Yay.
Pat,
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
Larry,
Yay.
Bill, yay. Motion carried. 17.4. Looking for someone to move and second that bylaw 2020-17, being a bylaw to adopt estimates of all sums required during the year to strike the rates of taxation for the year 2019 and to provide for penalty and interest default payments for the year 2020, be given first, second, third reading, and finally passed this 21st day of April 2020.
Pat, I'll move.
Thank you.
Larry, will second.
Thank you. Open for discussion. Hearing none, I'll call the vote. Scott,
Yay.
Pat,
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
Larry,
Yay.
Bill is yay. That motion is carried. Excuse me. Item 18 is notice of motions. There are none. 19, media questions on the agenda. Did the media have an opportunity to phone in on this, Kate?
No, we post the agenda to the website, so it is available there for the media to review, and if they have any questions, they know how to contact me.
Okay. I was wondering if they had a phone-in number that they could just listen in or call in during the meeting or not, but that's fine. Item 20, closed sessions. We have none. So obviously no reporting out. Notices required by notice of bylaw, there are none. So we're all the way to 23, a confirmatory bylaw. We're looking for someone to move and second that bylaw 2020-28, being a bylaw to authorize the proceedings of regular council meeting held April 21st, 2020, to authorize its execution, begin first, second, and third reading, and finally passed this 21st day of April 2020.
I'll move.
Thank you.
Mark.
Larry, will second.
Discussion. Okay, all in favor, Scott,
Yay.
Pat,
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
Larry,
Yay.
Bill is also yay. That motion is carried. 24, adjournment, moved by Scott, seconded by,
I'll
Larry,
second.
oh, okay.
that the vote that the meeting of April 21st, 2020, regular council be adjourned at 2:19. Scott,
Yay.
Pat,
Yay.
Mark,
Yay.
Larry,
Yay.
and Bill is yay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I'll be in touch with staff about our idea of having a special meeting of a council and